I'm going to do a bit of a crop report here. These are the beans. This farm was corn last year. I put wheat in and I put corn in after the wheat on my birthday a year ago. And the corn at the far end of this field was so bad that I just couldn't do anything with it. So we left it, which in turn brought the deer in. And of course the deer just love to go back to their feeding ground. And no matter what you do to those dirty, rotten bastards, they are here. So I came in and I sprayed Liberty herbicide. I know I called it Enlist in one of my videos, which they were E3 beans, and I use Liberty herbicide on them. These are not E3 beans. These are Extend Flex beans that I got from the local fertilizer plant or seed dealer. And I had a line here. Well, there's so much deer damage on these beans, it's unbelievable. This is all deer damage. They're just coming in and pinching the tops off. And I had to come back in and replant from here down. Yeah, this is replanted. And yeah, so I'm going to have a volunteer corn problem here. But I'm not, because these are Extend Flexes, and I can go ahead and take out that volunteer corn with the Liberty herbicide, or Interline is what the product's name was. And I did say that the deer had just definitely did not like the taste of Interline or Liberty. And as you can see in the replant, they had this completely trimmed off, by the way. You don't see any original planted beans here. There just isn't, because they ate them. So I came back in, and obviously they're still working it. They're here because it's a habit for them. This is their feeding habit. So the whole point in this is to actually flood come back in, replant them. They were replanted on June like 22nd or 3rd, I think, was when we replanted them. And I upped the seed rate so that here's the original planted bean right there. So you can see that the replants are there. Is to actually get enough soybeans in the ground that they can come and trim some of them off, and they're not going to completely devastate it. You can see that we just ran the vertical tillage machine over that corn, and obviously there's some new ones coming on. It's going to be a chronic problem here. I think I'm going to have to spray it 3 times before I could get that volunteer corn under control. Maybe twice, probably twice, get it under control. I'll be back in here in probably 2 weeks when the beans get up about knee high, and hopefully we don't have too much volunteer corn here. But yeah, the deer are just devastated this particular field. There's a field over there, and they're still in here, don't get me wrong. Them motherfuckers, they just don't stop. Excuse my language. They just don't quit. Yeah, so this is where he stopped replant, right here. And you can see that the deer had trimmed them off, and they're struggling to come up to grow through where they've been bit off. They will regain some traction, and possibly produce 30-40 bushels in this area, maybe. It depends. It all depends. But the faster these beans grow, and this is wetter ground here, so there's plenty of moisture. If I kick that, you can see it's just moisture. I think they had a little more rain down here than we had over there. Seriously considering getting some 1919 and throwing on these beans to give them that extra giddy up and go. So, no, did he replant? He did not replant this. This has all been bit off. You see that? They bite that off of there, and then it's got to redo that. And beans are pretty resilient, and it is a bushy type bean, but these deer are just horrific when it comes to this. Get some velvet leaf that missed the Liberty herbicide. The farther you get over here, you know, here's an unaffected bean, and here's an affected bean. And bite them right off at the top. Can't shoot them. Can't. Hunters are useless. Just so you all know, hunters are useless. They don't hunt to kill. They hunt for horns. You know, the most useless part of the animal. And as I come up through here, it looks better and better. Now, because that corn was down there, they're not venturing this direction as much as they had been in other years. They are coming up here, but not nearly as bad. These beans, I'm really disappointed in these, to be honest with you. There's 100 acres here, but the farther I go to the west of this field, the better they look, and you can obviously see that. So I don't know. Just need some rain. You cross this driveway. Now, why those deer don't cross this driveway is beyond me. That was Liberty herbicide. This is Roundup or glyphosate. Actually, it's Power Max 3. And Power Max 3 does not touch mare's tail, resistant mare's tail. It just yellows it a little bit here, like this. So this is my job this morning. I'm going to come back in with a product called Source. I don't know that it's any good. A guy says, oh yeah, no, it'll make them grow 5 times faster. You know, that snake oil shit. Who knows if it's going to work or not. Anybody who used Source, let me know. It cost me $1,500. And yeah, so this field's a lot better. No matter what, you never recover from shit like that. Those deer just are awful here. And, you know, it's not like, oh, well, it's just one field. Who cares? No matter what you do, say, think, or feel about this, the deer only eat from the profit end of this spectrum. They never eat into the expense side. They are the expense. And when you have a 18-acre field like that one, I think it was 18, yeah, 18-acre field, and say a third of it is affected to the point where you have to replant it. When you replant it, that's another expense, and you just never recover that back. It just doesn't come back. So don't come on here and say, oh, we just need me to come out and hunt deer for you. You ain't that good, dude. What are you gonna do? Shoot 2-3 deer? I know I hear guys say, oh, I shoot 9 deer a year. I don't give a fuck about your 9 deer. I can shoot 9 deer a night and still have the same result. It doesn't do an impact. There's no impact. No positive impact, let's put it that way. See if I can do this without smacking into a telephone pole or something. Yeah, so for everybody that's like, oh, you got a deer problem, you need hunters. Don't they hunt there? You got to realize, you know, when I was young, when I was a kid, a hunter came out with their kids, and, you know, the old man was always pretty much guaranteed to get a buck or a doe, you know, depending on whatever, but the deer problem was never that bad. But a hunting license cost you like 20 bucks, and you could go hunting. Today, it'll cost you $1,000 to come hunting in all seasons. On all the seasons, about $1,000. And they come out a couple, 3 times a year. $1,000 to go sit in the woods. And then once they started baiting deer, that made it really impossible for the guys that don't bait. Because you've got these guys that go and they buy corn from, say, Timmy Corn Picker or a couple of other guys around. They buy it and they dump it out in the field and they draw the deer in under their deer stand where it is legal to do this baiting thing. And the deer all lay there, and the guy's up in the deer stand jerking off to the biggest buck, and he watches it for days and days and days like a sadistic cunt. And yeah, when he's done watching and jerking off to this big antlered animal, he chooses the time that he shoots his animal, and then he doesn't come back. And the deer are there. You know, he got his buck, so he don't care. And he doesn't come back, and the deer are all just hanging out in that area there. Maybe he'll feed them throughout the season. But then, when the food source is gone, then you've got this extremely healthy herd of corn-fed deer that have just laid in a quarter-acre area for 6 months. 6 months at a time, you may as well say. And after that, it's about springtime, and the farmer goes out and plants his corn and his soybeans, and the deer all say, "Hey, wait, new food source." And then in about September, that's when the guys come back and they want to start baiting again and jerking off to that buck, and it's got to be the brother or the cousin or the uncle to the deer I shot last year, and they're all just like, that's what hunters are. Hunters are a bunch of kindergartners with guns. I've witnessed this for 52 years of my life. That you could take two best friends from kindergarten until they're 60 years old, and one of them makes the mistake of saying, "Hey, you want to come hunting with me? You want to come hunting with me?" And the other guy's like, "Yeah, we haven't gone hunting since we were kids in school." They go hunting, and the guest shoots the buck that this guy's been masturbating to for the last, I don't know, 4 months before he chose when he was going to kill it. And sometimes it even ends up in murder. There was a fellow not 10 miles from here over in Pennsylvania. He was a doctor, and he fed these deer and fed these deer and fed these deer. And then there was a guy that was, he just came hunting on the neighbor's property, and he shot this guy's deer, the deer that he had chosen to harvest at the right time, at the right moment when he wanted to. And the guy waited till he was taking a piss and put a bullet through him, killed him. 10 miles into Pennsylvania, that's it. That's what he did. So I really dislike hunters at this point in my life. Not the people that I hunted with when I was young, because those guys actually were feeding their families. They got off of work, they put an orange hat on, they didn't have every fancy bit of camo, this, that, and the other thing, which, whatever, is what it is. But, it didn't have all that perfect gear to hunt the perfect animal and take it at the perfect time when they decided that they would do that. They just were guys that went out and hunted for food for their families, and that don't happen no more. Yes, of course, these guys kill the animal and they take it home, or they don't even take it home and cut it up themselves. They pay somebody to do it. We used to cut them up ourselves, and then we paid to do it, but that's that. Where's that dumb dog?